the quotes of Aristotle, which is great meaning. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. Whosoever is delighted in solitude is either a wild beast or a god. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Without friends, no one would want to live, even if he had all other goods. It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. Virtue lies in our power, and similarly so does vice, because where it is in our power to act, it is also in our power not to act. The wise man does not expose himself needlessly to danger, since there are few things for which he cares sufficiently, but he is willing, in great crises, to give even his life, knowing that under certain conditions it is not worthwhile to live. We praise a man who feels angry on the right grounds and against the right persons, and also in the right manner at the right moment and for the right length of time. Moral excellence comes about as a result of habit. We become just by doing just acts, temperate by doing temperate acts, brave by doing brave acts. The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. Those who know, do. Those who understand, teach. To run away from trouble is a form of cowardice, and while it is true that the suicide braves death, he does it not for some noble object, but to escape some ill. We must no more ask whether the soul and body are one than ask whether the wax and the figure impressed on it are one. You will never do anything in this world without courage. It is the greatest quality of the mind next to honor. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. He who cannot be a good follower cannot be a good leader. To avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. Happiness belongs to the self-sufficient. It is not enough to win a war. It is more important to organize the peace. One swallow does not make a summer, neither does one fine day. Similarly, one day or brief time of happiness does not make a person entirely happy. At his best, man is the noblest of all animals. Separated from law and justice, he is the worst. The law is reason, free from passion. The aim of the wise is not to secure pleasure, but to avoid pain. We can do noble acts without ruling the earth and sea. All men naturally desire knowledge. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. If the art of shipbuilding were in the wood, ships would exist by nature. Virtue is the golden mean between two vices, the one of excess and the other of deficiency. It is the mark of an educated mind to expect that amount of exactness which the nature of the particular subject admits. It is equally unreasonable to accept merely probable conclusions from a mathematician and to demand strict demonstration from an orator. The many are more incorruptible than the few. They are like the greater quantity of water, which is less easily corrupted than a little. Every virtue is a mean between two extremes, each of which is a vice. He who sees things grow from the beginning will have the best view of them. The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation, rather than upon mere survival. No democracy can exist unless each of its citizens is as capable of outrage at injustice to another as he is of outrage at injustice to himself. Suffering becomes beautiful when anyone bears great calamities with cheerfulness, not through insensibility, but through greatness of mind. Life is only meaningful when we are striving for a goal. If things are good in themselves, the goodwill appears as something identical in them all, but the accounts of the goodness in honor, wisdom, and pleasure are different. No happy man can become miserable, for he will never do acts that are hateful and mean. It is the mark of an educated man to look for precision in each class of thing, insofar as its nature admits. Moral excellence is concerned with pleasure and pain. Because of pleasure we do bad things, and for fear of pain we avoid noble ones. For this reason we ought to be trained from youth, as Plato says, to find pleasure and pain where we ought. This is the purpose of education. The life of money-making is one undertaken under compulsion, since wealth is not the good we are seeking. Knowledge is not necessary for the possession of the virtues, for to conceal one's feelings is to care less for truth than for what people think, and that is the coward's part. Each man speaks and acts and lives according to his character. Falsehood is mean and culpable, and truth is noble and worthy of praise. The man who is truthful where nothing is at stake will be still more truthful where something is at stake. All men agree that a just distribution must be according to merit in some sense. They do not all specify the same sort of merit, but Democrats identify with freemen, supporters of oligarchy with wealth or noble birth, and supporters of aristocracy with excellence. Death is the most terrible of all things, for it is the end, and nothing is thought to be either good or bad for the dead. These quotes by Aristotle offer profound insights into various aspects of life, including virtue, education, happiness, truth, justice, and the human condition.